welcome to Change Happens, a weekly gathering of things that I found entertaining, informative, or thoughtful as I made my way through the digital cave that is the interweb.
All right, welcome to Change Happens, Volume 112. Have a great day, find your way. January 19th, 2025, from the walls of the digital cave. Hi, is it easy to know you? There doesn't appear much variety beneath the surface of the human condition, a less than considered consequence of pursuing the same ancestral existence for some millions of years. So much is known about the person met in passing, there is no need, no reason to build an agreeable reality. Despite an inclination, weighted heavily by gold, to find, exalt, and die for perceived differences, we, most often, know each other easily when we meet. As always, Change Happens is brought to you by Hyperventilating the Podcast. A father and a daughter discuss matters. Hyperventilating the Podcast, entertaining, thoughtful, and informative. Join us every Wednesday. The Robot Unknown. Headline: Why AI Progress is Increasingly Invisible. From the article. I fear that the gap between AI's public face and its true capabilities is widening. While consumers see chatbots that still can't count the letters in strawberry, researchers are documenting systems that can match PhD-level expertise and engage in sophisticated deception. This growing disconnect makes it harder for the public and policymakers to gauge AI's real progress they'll need to understand to govern it appropriately. The risk isn't that AI development has stalled, it's that we're losing our ability to track where it's headed. In the summer of 2023, the best AI models were scoring marginally better than chance on PhD science questions. By the fall of 2024, they were best in human scores. We, any of us who were interested, could see this happen, and it was well documented. That's no longer the case. On the surface, the improvements have stopped, but in reality, we're not sure what they're doing. It seems that the goal is to set up a system where the AI can essentially teach itself, do its own research. The problem is that we appear to not know exactly what that means on a fundamental the robot is thinking level. The greater concern is that our human history suggests that we won't act until there is an incident, and we have no way of predicting what that incident might be. Put down the fiddle. Headline: Why Procrastination is About Managing Emotions, Not Time. From the article. Increasingly, however, psychologists are realizing that this is wrong. Experts like Tim Pitchell at Carleton University in Canada and his collaborator Fuchsia Sirois at the University of Sheffield in the UK have proposed that procrastination is an issue with managing our emotions, not our time. The task we're putting off is making us feel bad. Perhaps it's boring, too difficult, or we're worried about failing. And to make ourselves feel better in the moment, we start doing something else, like watching videos. This article is a look at approaching procrastination as an emotional problem rather than simply an extension of laziness. The idea that we attach to a task negativity which encourages us to avoid taking action. We're all guilty at one time or another of putting off something that we know we need to do, while knowing that it needs to be done eventually, leading to a kind of unnecessary self-inflicted stress, usually for no good reason other than it just won't be fun to do. An encouragement to just take action. More is less. Headline: Lewis Dartnell, biologist. One of the problems with the modern world is a loss of scarcity in many things. From the article. I wouldn't argue for a second that biological processes are the only influence, or indeed the most important influence, although in many cases I argue that they are, or that they are the dominant effect. But I think it's just one thing to add to the mix to consider. In the case of pandemics and epidemics, and particularly with the mass depopulation of the Americas, when European explorers first started arriving by sailing ships, I think that it is pretty clear from the historical and archaeological evidence that it was a series of enormous pandemics that wiped out a huge fraction of the indigenous population. I liked this article in that it made me consider the idea that one of the things that might be detrimental to us long term is how much we have of everything. It's a question and answer format. The interviewee phrases it as a lack of scarcity. He uses, for example, our easy access to food with lots of sugars and the ubiquity of cheap calories, leading to obesity and diabetes. He postulates that there is a disconnect between what we have evolved to be and where we find ourselves. It's a bit of a chicken or the egg argument. Did we shape our biology, or did our biology shape us? An opinion piece, but worth considering. January 15th, 2001. Wikipedia. The rabbit hole. Wikipedia has been praised for its enablement of the democratization of knowledge, extent of coverage, unique structure, and culture. Wikipedia has been censored by some national governments, ranging from specific pages to the entire site. Although Wikipedia's volunteer editors have written extensively on a wide variety of topics, the encyclopedia has been criticized for systemic bias, such as a gender bias against women and geographical bias against the global south, Eurocentrism. While the reliability of Wikipedia was frequently criticized in the 2000s, it has improved over time, receiving greater praise from the late 2010s onward while becoming an important fact-checking site. Articles on breaking news are often accessed as sources for frequently updated information about those events. The Dying of the Right. Headline: Can you read cursive? It's a superpower the National Archives is looking for. From the article: If you can read cursive, the National Archives would like a word, or a few million. More than 200 years worth of U.S. documents need transcribing, or at least classifying, and the vast majority from the Revolutionary War era are handwritten in cursive, requiring people who know the flowing, looped form of penmanship. For those who grew up learning cursive, this will be a touch nostalgic. The National Archive in America is looking for people that can read cursive so that many old documents can be preserved, somewhat ironically, I suppose, online. Knowing cursive was a big part of schooling at one point in our fairly recent history, knowledge now becoming obsolete, as long as the electricity flows. It's not hard to imagine that the world is filling with people who have found no use for a pen or pencil. The future is now talking to your tools. Telling the truth. Headline: Whistleblowers who changed history. From the article: While the term whistleblower may evoke the image of contemporary figures like Edward Snowden or Chelsea Manning, whistleblowing has been a crucial counterbalance to corporate and political rapacity since antiquity. Whistleblowers, people who report a company or organization's wrongdoings, regardless of whether they work there or not, are far more than mere tattletales or informants. They've been stalwart agents of accountability, exposing corruption and injustice while often risking their own safety, reputation, and livelihoods. Whether it be challenging the tyranny of fascistic regimes, exposing the insatiable corporate greed, or safeguarding democratic ideals, whistleblowers have long since proved themselves to be an indispensable presence in our collective culture. A handful of whistleblowers are examined, who they were and what they revealed. It feels like there's still a negative connotation to the term whistleblower, the stigma of being degrees of a snitch or a rat. But most often, a whistleblower is somebody who is helping us collectively by revealing things that affect us greatly, hidden things that otherwise we may never have known. Armed with 8 brains. Headline: Why every arm of an octopus moves with a mind of its own. From the article: There are many remarkable things about octopuses. They're famously intelligent, they have 3 hearts, their eyeballs work like prisms, they can change color at will, and they can see light with their skin. One of the most striking things about these creatures, however, is the fact that each of their 8 arms almost seems to have a mind of its own, allowing an octopus to multitask in a manner that humans can only dream about. Octopi, amazing, amazing creatures. This article is mainly about their arms and how fantastic they are. There is so much we don't understand about an octopus's garden and biology. Cephalopods are so different to we vertebrates. Studying them gives us amazing insights into things other than human. They diverged from our spiny selves many millions of years ago. It's interesting to see what's similar and what's different. Amazing animals, really wonderful and weird. The stuff of aliens on Earth. Find things beautiful as much as you can. Most people find too little beautiful. Vincent Van Gogh. Or as my English mum would have said, Vincent Van Gogh. Vincent Van Gogh is apparently how the Dutch would say it. All right, thank you very much for joining me. And as always, I look forward to next week.
When we meet again inside the spectacular human repository of everything and nothing, it's your life, you understand.